please check out our sponsor, Lear Capital. That's Lear Capital, the precious metals leader. Buy gold, buy silver, do it today. Hey everybody, I'm Christopher Green. You're tuning into AMTV Alternative Media Television. It is of course Monday, May 4th, 2015. I just watched an interview on CNBC with the three musketeers, the three financial musketeers. Charlie Munger, Warren Buffett's right-hand man, Warren Buffett himself, and Bill Gates. And they're in this hotel setting coming off the Berkshire Hathaway meeting that they hold on an annual basis, and they're specifically talking about the criminal Federal Reserve. Munger, Gates, and Buffett all agree that zero interest rate policy is likely creating financial asset bubbles. Not just in real estate, because as Buffett says, if you can borrow at zero, that obviously drives prices higher. It makes it easier to borrow money to invest in things like a home. And it also is more than likely creating financial and asset bubbles in the stock market. But the logical question all of us should be asking, especially here in America, well, if you three financial musketeers all agree that what the Federal Reserve is doing is criminal, then what are you going to do about it? You know, we constantly hear how they're giving back to the world through their charitable organizations and the billions and billions of dollars. But most Americans don't know that Warren Buffett was a primary beneficiary of the TARP funds, of the multi-billion, really multi-trillion dollar financial bailouts. In fact, his investments, his multi-billion dollar investments in companies like Goldman Sachs and American Express, just to name two, there's more than that, more financial institutions Buffett has invested in, were bailed out in 2008, saving him billions of dollars. But I thought that this was the master PR man, you know, the master PR stuntman that likes to lick his ice cream cones at his Berkshire Hathaway meetings and also play his ukulele. But really, he's no different than any of the other financial criminals. People like John Thain, the former CEO, probably many of you have never even heard of, Merrill Lynch, who had a golden toilet while he was receiving the bailouts in 2008. Literally, a golden toilet in his apartment. That's how egotistical and crazy these people are as they're receiving our money, taxpayer money, you and I. People like John Corzine, this revolving door between politician and banker who directly stole client funds, his own customer accounts, while working at MF Global, driving the company to zero. Again, no repercussions for these criminals. Warren Buffett receiving billions of dollars in the form of bailout monies from you, the taxpayer, in 2008 and 2009. You know, instead of selling us the con job of your charities, Bill Gates and Warren Buffett, maybe you should have just refused the original bailout. You would have saved Americans trillions, not the billions that you're now supposedly donating to a good cause. You see, when you're raping us on the front end and then giving it back to us on the back end, that makes no sense, and it just shows how absurd this whole thing actually is. Also, Buffett talks specifically about Europe, says that he thinks it's likely that in 10 or 20 years the European Union will still survive, albeit with less countries involved, meaning that Greece, as we've said here on the channel for years now, having received already two bailouts, now in the need of third, had a radical transformation of its political party in the name of the Syriza Party, is likely to leave in the not too distant future. Once what they sold us, again, a con job, the integration of the European Union as a irrevocable union, is now suddenly going to become revocable. So all of this is manifesting itself. Buffett even goes on to say how he borrowed $3 billion at 1% here recently with one of his companies. But again, these three financial musketeers are very powerful men. I would argue more powerful than governments around the world. So if they believe the criminal Federal Reserve is raping America and creating new asset bubbles, why don't these multi-billionaires do something about it? And I think we all know the answer to that question. It's because they're the primary beneficiaries of this bailout. You see, the global elite have tripled their wealth since 2008, 2009. Gladly accepted, Buffett licking his big fat ice cream cone and playing his ukulele, gladly accepted your multi-billion dollar bailouts. You know, isn't there an old saying, watch what somebody does through their actions, not just what they say? So again, these individuals, primary beneficiaries of this scumbaggery that is occurring, courtesy of the criminal Federal Reserve, central banks, not just here in the United States of America, but what we see in the ECB with the European Union, what we're seeing with Japan likely buying illegally SPY and S&P 500 future contracts to artificially keep the stock market at these levels that have since tripled since 08 and 09. The Chinese stock market also engaging in its form of QE now. I believe it just lowered its reserve rate. Its stock market, by the way, has doubled in less than 6 months. So what we have, according to Warren Buffett, and what we have, according to Bill Gates, and what we have, according to Charlie Munger, is a new financial bubble. These bubbles are now bigger, they're worse, they're more dramatic, and potentially more catastrophic. Didn't Buffett say that derivatives were weapons of mass destruction? Well, I would argue that the Federal Reserve is a weapon of mass destruction. You know, if they want to donate to our charity, if they want to donate to the peasants and the little guys, you and I, maybe they shouldn't have accepted the bailouts in 08, 09. And you know what? If they made a mistake then, the way they can right the ship is help us end the criminal Federal Reserve. Munger also mentioned something interesting, says that we need to make investments in American infrastructure, that he does believe that if we're going to print currency out of thin air, we can at least make that investment back into Americans in America's infrastructure, which I think is coming. I think as a result of round 2, or maybe we could argue round 3 of this economic collapse that we're living through in 2015, once the bubble pops once again, I could see a huge push to infrastructure investment. You know, put the people to work that are living through the Great Depression, that have lost everything. Again, in 2008, nobody bailed you out, nobody bailed me out, but we bailed out the global elite, the same elites that meet in Davos and have $50 hot dogs in Switzerland every year. The same billionaires like Warren Buffett that play ukulele, and that really his shareholders, I'm surprised he doesn't just make them blow him on stage every year. I mean, everybody thinks this guy's the greatest guy since sliced bread when he's really just a recipient of multi-billion-dollar taxpayer bailouts. I mean, hey, I can make billions of dollars if you bail me out when I lose, and that's the case for these scumbags. Again, you know, people will say that if the American people and people around the world continue to allow this to happen, remain ignorant, and don't understand things like these people are recipients of bailouts, well, then maybe they deserve it because they're just peasants. And although I think that there's a good argument for that, we do deserve what's coming to us if we continue to allow these scumbags to steal from us. Part of the problem is most of Americans and those around the world are not educated to what's really going on. They are propagandized by the PR campaign, these multi-billion-dollar campaigns that make up Buffett, that make up his public image that he sells to us, which is just a con job, that he's a regular pickup driving American that really doesn't care about his money, that's just going to be donating it back to the American people, but really is just as cutthroat and just as evil as any of these other banksters on Wall Street today. And these monolithic banking institutions that continue to bend us over and stuff us from behind. I'm Christopher Green. Get this video out everywhere, make it viral, hard-hitting it in your face, and click the link below to support our sponsor. And please, donate to our cause. Donate to Alternative Media Television. We need your support. We are truly a grassroots organization, and we need you to support us. Donate $5, $10, $20, $100 right now and help us expose these financial criminals. Peace.